Okay, today, in this month's podcast, this is 1st of September, I just want to complain, I want to complain about the ineptitude and the poor quality of the public discourse in the Republic of Zambia. Many years after independence, many decades after independence, the public discourse has not improved. In these last few weeks, there is a firestorm now on the so-called privatization that was carried out nearly 30 years ago. And that is the key talking point for a country in the 21st century. And that has taken up the space in all media, both public, private, and social media. And I just feel sad, I just feel sad about, the lack of foresight, the lack of insight, and just the lack of aptitude amongst our people. Right now, the country of Zambia for the last 30 years has failed to resolve mass unemployment. The country of Zambia, in the last 10 years, has borrowed more than $15 billion for projects worth less than half that amount. And they haven't yet figured out. Reserves and resources at the Bank of Zambia are depleted. There is high levels of poverty. Zambia, despite borrowing those amounts, is going at 64% poverty levels, far much higher than Kenneth Kaunda's economy when he had only borrowed $9 billion, spending most of it on helping his own people. But today, the conversation for the future of Zambia is reduced to the botched privatization program from 30 years ago. Not to be demeaning or to sound as if we know everything, but the government of the Republic of Zambia under Frederick Chiluba, with Edith Nawakwi, particularly as the Minister of Finance, did not carry out privatization in Zambia. There was no research conducted into companies. The bids were not properly vetted, and they sold those companies like people. The Minister of Finance market, tomato market. Then 30 years after the fact, tomato. That is not how a country should think. That's not how the country should reflect on issues. The main issues are what the current administration has done to the war chest that Mwanawasa left us with. Mwanawasa left $5 billion and also $6 billion in debt that we didn't have to pay. But this government has depleted all the resources that Mwanawasa had left and borrowed more than $15 billion and spent exclusively nearly all of that amount in constructions. And the way, what is even a bigger problem is the way they borrowed the money. They borrowed the money, for example, in the Eurobond, we are able to trace its performance on the markets because it's a transparent and clear loan. But the rest of the amounts were a subprime yuan bonds. It means they were in dark corner meetings. It means that for a project that could be worth, for instance, for a project that could be worth $1 million, the project that could be worth $200,000, they went and borrowed $1 million for that. The country has to be able to have people who know how to use a calculator. Zambia. Ichintu cha 200,000, waesta pale 1 million. Difference ni $800,000. The difference is ishishimbi $800 shaya kui. If we take $800,000 and just pour it into one city, into social services into one city, or economic activities into one city, we would uplift the standards of the people. Those are the questions we need to ask. They borrow from subprime yuan bond lenders, and they borrow for assets that are, or for projects that are way below the value of the money they've borrowed. That is where our eyes need to be looking. The war chest of money that Mwanawasa left us has been squandered. We need to change players so that we as a country can audit investigate and find out where each loan came from, how it was used, who took what, and where the money went. Why have we spent $15 billion and the people are still in poverty? Where did the money go? That is the biggest question that we are going to address in Zambia. If you have privatization, it's a distraction. They didn't even carry out privatization. What they carried out was externalization. They sold industries to foreign companies. If a few Zambians were even lucky to buy some of those companies, that is what privatization is. It's the transfer of public resources, public assets, into private ownership. It means abena Zambia individuals eba chambokisa own companies. Privatization is not selling your companies to foreign firms or multinational companies. That's not privatization. That is foreign direct investments and externalization. So, yes, this the work balilanda balesaba papa TV balisambila sana na apprentice degree ya University of Zambia. But was she using a calculator? Did she read the bids? Those are the questions that we need to ask for Zambia. You cannot pin the failure of an entire government to an individual who was in the private sector. No. We must refuse to accept that.